Hi, and welcome back to the Heretical Heart Podcast. I'm your host, April Porter, and today I want to talk about living losses for the entrepreneur. So, before, well, during my life through coaching and human design, I took a side detour for a little while as an end of life coach and grief coach. And what I learned was so much about grief and how, as a society, we do not understand or process it. And it shows up in so many places in our life. So one of those places is as an entrepreneur. So I think we think of loss and we think of, or grief and we think of loss, right? So what did I lose? Where am I suffering that I would feel grief, right? So when somebody dies, when a pet dies, when a friendship ends, or sometimes when we move, or things like that can bring up a lot of grief. But what we don't often talk about is the grief and the good stuff. Because even when something really amazing in our life happens, it can come with grief. Like both things can be true at the same time. So one example of that is something I experienced personally, and I've talked to a lot of women who have also experienced this, is that when you become a mother, for the first time especially, there is a whole identity shift that happens. And as much as you can love and want and enjoy this new journey that you're on, there's grief in what you've lost. There's grief in the loss of identity. Like who you used to be as an independent person is not the same, and it will never be the same again. And it's not bad, it's just different. But we're often sold the story that this is a good thing and you should be happy. You can't feel sadness if you're happy. And I want to call bullshit on that, because both things can be true at the same time. And the same thing happens in business, especially entrepreneurship. So sometimes we have an offer that works really well. We make a lot of money, we have a lot of clients, we have a lot of success with it, we feel really good about it. And at some point, we often outgrow that offer, or we evolve and we want to bring something new to the table. And when that happens, we can be really excited about the thing that's coming. We can dream and we can have so much excitement over this, but as we're dreaming this new thing into being, we're also letting go of something. And that thing that we're letting go of probably served us very well in a lot of ways. And we can be sad that it's gone and still want something more, still want something new. Again, both things can be true at the same time. This can be when we're changing offers. It can be a version of yourself that you relied on. It can be a definition of success that once motivated you. It can be a dream that shifted or shattered or quietly reshaped itself. Oftentimes, what we are doing in our business is the very thing that we need to learn ourselves. It can be a past identity that you never honored because you were too busy building the next one. And one day you wake up and you realize that that identity is no longer who you were or who you are. It's who you were. And there is grief in that. So what do we do with this, right? So the grief is here. We acknowledge that the thing that we had is no longer, and there's sadness in that. And this is where I think we often bypass. And if you'll notice, the theme of the things that I speak about is often these in-between parts, right? This is where I live. This is where the work that I do lives, is in this in-between, in this liminal space, in this transformative, transitional, there's another T word I'm looking for. I can't think of it right now. But it's in this space where the old identity or offer or thing is done, or it's mostly done. And the new thing is like what we're moving toward, but it's not fully clear yet. Who we are becoming or what we are offering or what our business is evolving into is not yet that thing. And there's this pressure to move from old thing to new thing and to do it quickly, right? So if we're going to change, there's this expectation that we should move very quickly to the next thing. But I would argue that so much of the growth that you experience and what you learn is in this in between, the part that people bypass. This is where I live. This is where the work that I do lives, is in this in between. How do we sit in the grief? How do we sit in the loss? How do we sit in the unknown? It doesn't mean you're sad all the time. It doesn't mean it's miserable. It doesn't mean it's all hard. Yes, some of it is hard. Some of it's sad. Some of it's difficult. I'm not going to lie, it is. But when you have somebody alongside of you as you're going through that, it's a very different experience. So how we move through that determines what we create on the other side, right? If we bypass that, we miss the opportunity of fully developing into this new version of ourselves, and we create a fraction or a fractal of the person that we could become. And we maybe learn a new lesson on that journey to become another version. But when we slow down and take the time to be in that in-between space, in the threshold, that's the other T word I was looking for, in the threshold, that is where the magic is. That is where we are forged in the fire, right? We are in the fire in this, where everything is changing and shifting and possible. And what was before is not now, and what is to come is not yet. So in this space, there's no single right way to move through this, right? So you have to figure out what's right for you. You could voice note yourself. If you are a verbal processor, or if you are a projector, or you are somebody who has a soundboarding type of inner authority, or just somebody who processes verbally, use your voice notes, or find somebody that you can share your thoughts with who isn't going to just turn around and give you advice and tell you what to do, because that's the last thing that you need. You need to hear yourself and be where you are. If that's journaling, great. Grab your journal and write it out. But name the transition. Identify what it is that you are leaving, what you are moving toward, and what you are feeling right now. And let yourself be sad if you're sad. You're not going to stay there forever, right? But to acknowledge it, to touch it, to let it be here for a moment is how we move forward without bringing it into the next thing with us. We bring the scar, we bring the wisdom from whatever it is that we went through and we learned, but we don't bring that open wound that we're going to keep ripping open with every new thing that we do, because we've taken the time to sit in the middle, the messy middle, right? This is where the magic is, in the messy middle, when we allow ourselves to be in the messy middle. So talk to somebody who understands. Let the emotion move through you. If that's physically, great. Cry it out, scream it out, yell it out, go for a walk, go for a hike, push your body, do what you need to do. And when you slow down and listen to what is true and correct for you, you will know if it's writing or speaking or walking or running or pushing your body in that way. And remember, you are allowed to hold the sadness of what was and is no longer here, and the excitement and the joy of what's to come in each hand. They can both be here together, but when we acknowledge them and let them be, the person we become is so much richer, and our identity is shaped in a different way than if we just move from old thing to new thing without sitting in this in-between space. The in-between space is where I work. If this is something you are navigating right now, I encourage you to reach out, check out my offers. I have a couple of different things that could appeal to you. The biggest thing that we do is the heretical heart metamorphosis, and this is a 6-month program. It begins every January, and it is a small, intimate container where we are going through the fire together, and we are reshaping our identity to become the new version of who we are becoming in the business that we are creating together, where you are witnessed with one another. So if this is interesting to you, check out my website. You can get on the wait list, and I will see you next time.